All right, welcome back to the Midday Q&A. I'm your host, the Duckman. Behind me here we have my 1966-67 Volkswagen bus, also known as Gregory. I did not name him. Gregory's a name that actually came from Mary, and Mary is my friend who had this bus in her yard for over 20 years. Behind her backyard, it was left in the woods, and it just sat there and it rotted. And it was in some pretty bad shape when she got started, but the years have not been kind to it, so I picked up the bus, brought it home, and we're going to begin restoring this thing soon. But before we get to any of that, we've got a lot of questions that people have asked me on the video where I brought this thing home. So if you haven't seen that video already, check out DuckmanCycles VW Garage up right here on YouTube, and check it out. It was actually kind of interesting. I managed to pull it out of the ruts it was sitting in using the 350Z, got a hook to the tow bar, and I brought it home and, like, it had no problems. I still can't believe it. The tires held air, nothing blew up, and it made it all the way home without a mishap, without a single mishap. I mean, everything was just, yeah, it was a good day. One of the top questions I keep getting asked, or at least being commented about, is what happens to Eleanore now that I've got a bus? Eleanore is still top of the priority chain. Well, actually, I'm going to put Ruby ahead of that, because Ruby is a car that I do drive regularly. And if Ruby needs a repair, then everything goes on hold, and that's actually happened before. Eleanor's right behind that. Eleanore is the next project, and Eleanor's much closer to being done than this thing is going to be for a long time. The reason why I've brought this home so soon is because I do know that Eleanore is going to be going into paint sometime this summer. Earl's going to get Eleanore. He's going to go ahead and just go over everything, fine-tune everything that I've got, and put a really beautiful paint coat on her. But during that time of several months when the car is not here, am I just supposed to, shut down and stop my YouTube channel? Or should I, be prepared and have something else to work on? Now, I probably will slip in a video here and there where I'll make a couple changes to something. I mean, this is going to be an ongoing project. But the deal with this one is, unlike Eleanore, I'm not going to cut it into a million different pieces and rebuild it the way I wanted to. This is a bus, it's relatively solid. It's got some rust problems. We'll discuss that in a minute. But as far as my future plans are concerned, it's not going to be stock, but it's also not going to be as radical as Eleanore is with the, exotic roof chop and all the Porsche under suspension and all that nonsense. This is going to be turned into, well, a work truck. It's going to help to promote my business, and I certainly would like to have it painted up with that in the future, and I'd like to take it to shows. I'd like to camp in it, even though it's not a camper. I mean, how much room do you really need to camp? Just the fact that I don't have to set up a tent would be, nice. I'll set up a tow hitch behind it and, perhaps even bring both Gregory and Eleanore to car shows. But, I mean, this is way down the road, and it's certainly not something we need to worry about now. But fact of the matter is, Gregory is not going to take priority over finishing Eleanore. Eleanore does need to get done. And there's also some other projects I need to finish. I got a CR500, and I also got a DoodleBastard that I need to get to. DoodleBastard, by the way, does have a due date. The DoodleBastard will be finished by October, blah, 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 whatever it is in late October when our car show is. I need to have it. I want it to be my pit bike. I intended it to be that last year, and I just couldn't get around to it. I had too much on Eleanore I needed to finish. But this year, I'm actually running out of things to work on Eleanore. There's not a whole lot left that I need to do before it goes off to Earl. So I'm going to do the last of those things, and then c'est la vie, and the car will be gone for several months. So now that we've got our Volkswagen home, what's the first thing that we need to do? We'll go ahead and ask Carlos. Hey, Carlos, what do you think?
Just dry park it, man. Just find somewhere, clear some shit out, dude. Make some space for it.
Well, there you have it. Carlos answered it best. You got to find a safe place for it. So let's go ahead and find a safe place. All right, we've got a safe place right here in my backyard. Now that it's been situated, the number two thing I need to do is I need to break this car down. I need to get inside of it and just gut out the interior. I need to wash it, try to get these years of mold and just crust off of the car as best I can. And we're going to get to that. It's not going to be in this video, of course, because this is just the Q&A. But one of the things that people have been asking, hey, Duckman, you never did tell us what year it is. What year is this bus? And I believe it to be either a 66 or a 67. There are some things like the taillights that actually did have date stamps on them. I thought that was kind of interesting. It actually said 1966 on them. But when I looked a little more closely, like when I put the tow bar on, the steering stabilizer was in the way of the tow bar, and I was told that that only occurs on a 1967. Now, I don't know if that's for true, but looking at some of the things on here, I suspect that's probably the case, that this is either a 66, possibly a late 66, or a 67 for certain, first year for 12 volt. Let's go ahead and have a look here, and But looking at this little doodad right here, this little flapper that you see that opens the door, that was unique to late 66 and 67. So once again, pretty certain that this thing is a 66, 67. One of the things that confirms it, if for some reason that this bus hasn't had the doors changed out on it. Now you might be saying, hey Duckman, why don't you just check the VIN number? And the reason why is because the VIN plate, as well as the M tag, are gone. Mary's actually got the VIN plate to this vehicle. I pulled it off several years ago because it was dangling. The rivets that were holding it in, the holes had rusted and wallowed out, and the thing was going to get lost. So I handed it to her, and I think she put it away in a toolbox or something. So I'll be getting that from her in the future. But looking at the VIN plate on it, I don't think it was the correct VIN plate for this vehicle. I think somebody has changed it out, so it may end up getting titled or registered as something different. But we'll see when we get to that. But as far as what we're going to call it, I think we're going to say that it's a 67 bus. Okay, I got a lot of questions about the Deluxe Trim package that's on here. I don't believe that this would be normal for a panel bus. In fact, looking at it, it's supposed to follow the stripe on the side here, and it doesn't. Somebody mounted it up higher, which once again tells me that this is not correct for this bus. I will be pulling this stuff off, but I will be putting it back on after restoration properly where it belongs, because, well, I really like the way it looks. So I'm going to try to retain that. I think it looks pretty good. But looking at this vehicle, it's definitely going to need some help. The good news is, though, there's not a whole lot of windows that need to be replaced. Usually what happens on these Volkswagens is right along the bottom of the windows, the rubber seals will pull water in and it traps the water and then they rust out. This car only has essentially 3 windows like that may have to be repaired, the 2 in front and then the 1 in the rear hatch. So again, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, when we start tearing this thing all apart. But yeah, that's what we're looking at on here. Why is there big number 13s all over this vehicle? This is a question I get asked a lot. I mean, there's a 13 right here in the front. I don't know how well the lighting lets you see it, but there's one here. There's one on either side in the rear, right back over here. And that's because this vehicle actually was used as a race car. And I know, who races an old split window bus? Well, apparently the maniac that used to own it before Mary, the one that ended up dumping it off at a scrapyard, or at least the story, as I understand it, it was taken from the lunatic, probably by his family, and then left at the scrapyard. And they sold it to Mary, and Mary brought it home 20 years ago. And he was racing it. I mean, I still don't understand that. That's one of the reasons why these louvers are all cut out. I guess it was in his bright idea that if he gets more air to the engine, it's going to run cooler. The engine is the next question. People are saying, you know, hey, what kind of engine goes in here? When I dragged it home, there was no engine in it. And the reason why I didn't have the engine in is actually really short and sweet. I'm unable to get it out of second gear. And the reason why is because the whole section of the floor, and you can see where the shifter comes into, where the shifter bolts down to it, into the shift rod, it's gone. So there's no floor in that section at all. So the shifter is just bouncing around. I tried to pull the shifter rod back or in or out, twist it, anything to try to get it out of gear. I was unable to do that. So what happens, of course, is when I was trying to pull the bus out 2 years ago, that's how far back the project has actually begun. I've just been really slow about chasing this thing. But I wasn't able to roll it because I'm turning against the compression of the engine. I did discover, however, that the engine that was in there did turn over. It was actually free. It spins freely, and I've got the engine here. But what I did then is I pulled the engine out, and I wrapped it up, and I put it in a safe place. So I've actually had it covered here, and I haven't talked about it on purpose because I wanted it to be a surprise when it's time to bring the bus home. So anyways, we're going to take that engine and we're going to bolt it back in here in a future upcoming episode. I'm going to knock some of my restoration steps out of order on purpose so that way you guys get the best, possible video releases of the stuff that you want to see. So I will be breaking some of the order. This car, if I'm lucky, might even make it to our October show, and I think that would be fantastic because I can throw the DoodleBastard on inside of it. And that would just make a lot of sense to me. So here's my 1967 Volkswagen bus, also known as Gregory. And Gregory is going to be an ongoing project that we're going to be working on for quite some time. I got to buy a lot of metal panels to fix this thing. And I'm going to have a walk around this. Actually, the video's already been recorded, but when I pulled it out of the woods, I walked around it and I tried to assess some of the rust damage and some of the problems that this vehicle had. So I'll be uploading that video over on DuckmanCycles. So please, as always, like, comment, subscribe, pluck that dingleberry. If you're not certain how to get to my other YouTube channels or my other social media, check out duckshit.net. That's my website, and I'm going to be updating that really shortly, putting all of my videos and all of my Instagram posts and all of my fun stuff all in one place so you guys can easily navigate everything without having to go to a million different places. It's all going to be aggregated to one spot. So please check out the website. You'll find the links right there. If you'd like to donate something, you can also do it there. If you want to send me a package, you'll also find my address. And if you'd like to email me, it's duckmancycles@duckshit.net. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Really do appreciate it. And don't forget, check out DuckmanCycles VW Garage. The other video will be going up also today. Thanks for watching.